All Gonna Be There podcast, a place where you get to be an exclusive member of our very entertaining group chat.
Hey y'all, welcome back to a Who All Gonna Be There podcast. I'm here to give you yet another update of our digital dailies. I'm gonna try to roll this down pretty quick for y'all so I can go to bed because it is 2:15 a.m. where I am. Okay, so here it is. So basically, the daily today, it opens up and the girls are chatting about Lexus being upset that Matt is on the block. Granted, duh, that's her show man. So I would want to keep the man giving me back rubs in the house too, and that's always a vote in her corner. So yeah, she has every right to be upset. So I don't think that's an issue, honestly. They say that it's a part of the game, voting Matt out. So because when they formed Hot Chocolate, they basically said, okay, we're going to link up with all these people, basically like the Tiffany plan for the cookout. We're going to have all these other people on the outside, but then they're like, okay, so if she's really for Hot Chocolate, this is literally what's happening. Like this week, it just ends up happening to be Matt. They later discuss, and this is Avery, Spicy, and Bailey, and Todd about Lexus going next because she was so upset about me being put up. And which is like interesting to me is that Todd is now being welcomed into these conversations. It's really like crazy to me that he's, welcome into these conversations because where Todd come from? But anyways, so they basically say going forward into next week that most likely noms are going to be Lexus and Tola. So for Avery, not Avery. Avery can't play choice next week. Spicy, which I think Spicy's going to throw. Depending on what happens, with this daily today, because I think Spicy is finally getting a little heat on her back. So who knows if she tries the gun for the next HOH, but Bailey and Todd, they definitely agree like Tola and Lexus are going to be the noms for next week. Dougie is basically coaching Matt on how to campaign. It's a pretty basic, generic campaign. He says, hey, don't use any names when you campaign, and just highlight the fact that people should be campaigning for you, but they aren't. So that's kind of showing how trustworthy, certain people are in the house. Just the basic campaign. And Matt says, you know what? I'm going to say what I got to say. I lie through my teeth. But like we discussed on yesterday's daily, the girls are definitely in trouble, and he's definitely going to put them up if he happens to stay. Which I don't think he's staying, but you never know. Lexus and Tola are having a chat, and Tola says he obviously knew that he was a target for this week. Excuse me. And that Avery basically wasn't fooling anybody. Avery had a conversation with Tola and was basically like, hey, you're just my pawn. I'm so glad, after he won the veto, I'm so glad you won the veto. You weren't a target regardless. So I'm just glad that you're here for next week. Tola is like, girl, I already know that I was the target. So don't even play in my face. Spicy then begins chatting with Lexus, and Spicy asks, does Matt know about Hot Chocolate? She says no, which I do believe Lexus. I don't think he knows about Hot Chocolate at all. But the important part in this conversation is basically Lexus, she is talking about Avery in this certain sense, but she says that she doesn't think Avery, being the person that she is, being the gamer that she is, being such a fan of the show, she doesn't think that she's going to make the move to want to go to the end with an all-star, i.e. Spicy or Dougie, right? And so Spicy's like, what? That's weird. That's crazy. Why wouldn't anybody want to go to the end with the all-star? Like, there's like 100% chance we lose, which that's not true. But she's like, of course, excuse me, there's 100% chance that we lose. So why wouldn't somebody want to go to the end with us? Spicy was like, are you feeling the same way? You think, the all-star should leave? She's like, no, of course. Which I do believe Lexus in this sense, like where she's like, I'm sticking with Hot Chocolate. I do think she is very loyal to that alliance. And even if Matt has to go, even though she's upset, As of right now, I do still think she's rocking with hot chocolate, but she is slowly but surely getting off of that boat. It's getting very rocky. It's getting very rocky, but we'll get to that here in a minute. Spicy says she's never had a game conversation with Matt, which is a total lie. They have had conversations. Now, depending on what her definition of a game conversation is, now have we seen them sit in a room and talk for 20 minutes about game? No. But we have seen them discuss like people and noms. And I know there was a conversation in the backyard, I think like week 2 or 3, with him, her, and Dougie, and they were talking like how good they are with each other. They've had game conversations, but maybe it's just not as in depth as she wanted, but they were safe. So it's kind of like, how much are we gonna, game talk? But whatever. Let's see. Spicy asked her. Spicy says she's never had a game talk with Matt. Oh, Spicy does ask Lexus, is she still rocking with hot chocolate? Because if Matt is on the block, or Matt is on the block, is that with Matt on the block, and if he does end up getting voted out, is she still gonna like rock with hot chocolate? She says, of course. She's like, of course. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be upset if Matt goes home. Obviously, I'm gonna vote for him to stay, but I signed up to be in the hot chocolate, and I am very loyal to hot chocolate, and there's nothing that can change that. Of course, I would want us to keep Matt, and I think that going forward, I don't think he would put any of us up anytime soon. But at the end of the day, is hot chocolate to the end. Which in that moment, once again, I do believe her. Spicy basically at the end of this conversation says, look, whatever happens, regardless what happens, she doesn't confirm if she's voting out Matt or not, but she basically says, going forward, she's like, honestly, I do think Matt leaving is best for your game. So we'll see how that goes, because 9 times out of 10, Matt is leaving. 10 times out of 10 at this point. But we still got another daily because we're behind. After this conversation, Spicy goes and she's talking to the girls, Avery and Kayla. She's saying she's upset about Lexus, and she feels like she's guilt tripping her because Lexus did bring up using the veto, which we all know she didn't use the veto. Excuse me. She didn't use the veto for the fact that it got it was rumors around, not even rumors because it was true, but that there was a thought that Matt was going to be the person to be backdoored if Lexus had used the veto. So she chose not to use it. And so she feels like she's guilt tripping her. She was just like, I didn't use the veto for hot chocolate because I didn't want one of us to go on the blog. So it's like, none of us is going on the blog anyway. She's just using that or whatever. So they say she's tripping and they're annoyed. She says it's gonna suck to break up the hot chocolate, but she says she thinks that Lexus is definitely the person that needs to go soon. But she does throw in that little wrench there. She's like, but I do think Dougie has to be the first to go. So going to next week, Dougie and Lexus, you're in trouble. Spicy and Dougie have a chat, which is very interesting. Spicy is saying that she's probably not keeping Matt. Dougie is like, you know what? Do whatever you want to do. You can tell he's annoyed. Spicy's like, well, isn't this what we're supposed to be doing? Aren't we supposed to be voting out our people? And then Dougie's like, okay, so why wouldn't we want to keep Matt? Why would we want to keep Goose over Matt? Matt seems as though he could win a comp over Goose. And then I give it Spicy because she had that there. She's like, but Matt hasn't won nothing. Goose has. Which makes sense. That is true. I mean, Matt has won no comps this season yet. Goose has won one. But Spicy's thing is at the end of the game, it's gonna be easier to win against Goose than it would be Matt. Which honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Would it be easier? It kind of depends on what the pitch is at this point, because right now Goose and Matt, at the most part, they pretty much are in the same level. Both of them are kind of irrelevant in the game right now. But honestly, I think anybody in the hot chocolate would win against Matt or Goose. So honestly, it really just comes down to like preference. Things kind of get, slightly heated between them two. You can tell like they are on opposite sides. This conversation, I mean, before I felt like it was pretty divided, but this is the clear cut like division right now. Spicy is just saying like, I don't want to end up being the split vote. I mean not the split vote. I don't want to be the what's it called? The deciding vote. I can't think. She doesn't want to be the one that's the deciding vote. It's late at night. She's like, I want to go to bed. I've been crying for 2 hours. That girl has not been crying for 2 hours. She said, I've been crying for 2 hours. I've just been upset about this vote. I think keeping Matt is gonna blow up my game. And I'm just like, what? That doesn't make sense. But I guess in a sense, she thinks that if she keeps no, honestly, you know what? I'm thinking of Ty. I don't see what would blow up her game. I guess with the girls, like they might be upset because it's like, oh, you said I guess with Avery, because she would think that Matt, especially them being friends, would come after her. Maybe that would blow up in her face. But Avery is Spicy's little like lapdog, little chihuahua. She's gonna follow behind her and do whatever she says. So even if she is upset, she might be like, "Hey, man," and Spicy's gonna be like, "It's okay. I'm sorry. Let's move on." And she's gonna be like, "Okay, cool." I feel like that's gonna be the worst. Bailey's gonna just Bailey at this point. I don't think it really matters whether Goose or Matt goes for Bailey's sake. But I do know Bailey does have the choice. She definitely wants Matt going over Goose. In this conversation, Spicy does bring up that Lexus said that about the All-Stars, that she doesn't want to go to the end with All-Stars. And then Dougie doesn't believe that. He's like, no, she didn't say that. She didn't say that. She was like, bet. Let me go get Lexus. So she calls Lexus in, and then she asks Lexus, hey, did you say that people don't want to go to the end with All-Stars? She was like, yeah, I wanted to have this conversation with you. I said I was gonna take it to the side because I didn't want you to think the wrong thing about what I said. And so basically what she was saying is that when they had the conversation with Avery, and she basically said that Avery, being the gamer that she is, being like I said earlier, she's a fan of the show, and she doesn't think that she would want to go to the end with an all-star. Lexus was more so in the sense, I think she was trying to turn Spicy a little bit over on Avery, but at this point it just kind of made Lexus look a little bit of shady. But I mean, it's just pretty much at this point is already Spicy wants to vote her out, and so this is just another reason to vote her out or to get rid of her. I don't think nothing changed. Dougie is like, whatever. Dougie right now, Dougie has a one-track mind. He's pissed at Spicy. He's pissed at that side of the house. He's pissed at Kayla. So he's gonna to do whatever he can to go forward from to divert his game away from Spicy, because he's also upset with her and now trying to paint a target onto her. But Spicy ends up leaving. Let's leave, whatever. I mean, Spicy leaves, and then Lexus and Tucky are talking. And Lexus says, she's like, I promise, I didn't say that or whatever. He's like, yeah. He's like, Spicy is just painting this game. She's trying to turn all the girls against you. Dougie is done. Okay. Dougie is finally like spilling the beans. He says, Lexus has been, getting these names mixed up. Dougie says that Spicy has been trying to throw dirt on Lexus's name for a while now. He says, she says that you've been hanging out with Matt too much. You haven't been playing much game. He's like, she's doing the same thing. He said, basically what she's doing is she's gonna like throw the rocks and then, hide her hand. Basically, she's gonna throw, salt on people's names in the game, and then just, try to back up and just kind of let the flames, or throw gasoline on the name and then let the flames, go or whatever. Let's see. Dougie does say, yes, Dougie said that she's scared to face people, which is why she's been hiding in rooms. He does bring up the fact that, I have this in my notes later too, he does tell Tola the same thing, but he tells Lexus, she's basically hiding in rooms. She said when Janine was up, she was hiding, when it got time to, talk about the votes. When Don was up, same thing. When it was Dennis, same thing. She's hiding, she's ducking, she's dodging. And what is she doing right now? She was hiding off in the green room. She said, "Oh, I'm just missing my family. I just want some alone time." He's like, no, she's hiding. She, tells people all these promises that, hey, I want to work with you further in the game. You have my vote. I'm with you 100%. And then she goes and hides for 2 days, and then it's the vote. And then, her hands are clean. Let's see. Lexus, double back a little bit. Lexus is having a conversation with Dougie, and Matt is there, and he's saying that no, I think this is when it was just Dougie and Lexus. I can't remember. I think it was Dougie and just Lexus. Basically saying that Byyyeee is always around. And I like that Lexus is finally opening her eyes and paying attention to the things around her, because she says, you know what? They're telling me that I'm hanging out with Matt all the time, that I'm not a part of all these game conversations. She's like, and when I'm in a room, like when we have these game conversations, they're short. So like, what am I gonna do? Like, we haven't really been under fire to have these like big, deep, game talks or whatever. He's like, the girls always hanging out. I was like, I thought the point was for us to not, to be found out. So of course we're not going to be hanging out with each other a lot. But she's like, Byyyeee is always there. She's like, if Bailey's your friend, y'all need to have the conversation with her. Like, hey, can you give us a minute? And she says, I feel like if game chats wanted to be had, y'all would make that space for those game conversations to happen. And I was like, you know what? That is true. Because you be making these these rooms for all the girls to meet up. You make these rooms for you and Ducky to meet up, Spicy, and then you make these rooms for you and Avery to have a sidebar. It just comes down to just if you want to have these conversations or not. And obviously they are been off Lexus for a minute. And like I said, Tola and Dougie end up chatting. He basically tells her, the same thing about Spicy hiding in the rooms. And Tola actually said, you know what's funny? He's like, this morning I was actually having a conversation with Spicy, and she admitted that she was hiding out because she didn't want to do any like game talks for the day. And then they got interrupted or whatever. So he didn't get to finish having that conversation with Spicy. But Tola asked Dougie, he's like, do you think we can trust Spicy? Dougie's like 100, 1000% no. And he's like, are you sure? Sure. He's like, there's no way. No way at all. So this right now, and for the most part, not even for the most part, for the part, Dougie has been hyping Spicy up, with the guys for quite a bit. So this is one of the like first times we actually see Dougie. He had a conversation with Matt too, like, yeah, we can't trust her anymore. But this is the first time we're actually seeing negative comments about Spicy from Dougie. So he's already, had a conversation with Lexus and definitely flipping her. Matt already knows if he happens to stay this week, which I'm get that, which maybe it's a possibility. If Matt stays, he's already against it. Tola already against it. That's 4 people. That's 4 people already automatically that is against Spicy side. So it's definitely about to be a clear cut divide going forward. Let me say. He does tell Tola, if you hadn't won veto, you'd be the number 1 target. You would be gone. You would be at the house. And Tola says, oh, yeah, for sure. Like, he already knew that. So he was already had it in his mind. Once he won veto, he was just like, okay, let me see who I can trust, who I go to. And right now, Tola's person he's hanging with now is Dougie. So I think there is definitely a clear-cut divide that going forward, it's going to be Matt if he stays, probably not. But Dougie, Matt, Tola, who I'm missing? Oh, Lexus. So that's clearly 4 on that side, right? And then on the opposite side, it's going to be Avery, Spicy, Kayla, Byyyeee, and Todd. So right now, Spicy side is winning. And then there's Elijah in the middle. Okay. So let me say this. Basically at the end of the daily today, Spicy was going around stealing people's water bottles. What was she doing? I don't know. It has to be some kind of task. I'm sure it's to give them a party or something. They do that a lot on Big Brother Canada if you aren't hip to it. So who knows? Do I think it's for like a secret power or something? Big Brother Canada would be crazy to like give her another power, and she basically just got one last week. So I think it's just something for like for them to get like a drinking party or like some good food, some kind of celebration or whatever. Because to be honest, we should be about to the halfway mark or something. I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah. So at this point now, it's 5 against 4. Elijah's in the middle. So it really kind of depends on if Matt goes, then they are down. And so it just kind of depends on what side Elijah's going to go to. And I think that Elijah would go. This is a hard situation with Elijah. So if Elijah does end up staying, which if the vote goes for this week, Elijah did say he's rocking with Todd. So if he stays true to that, right now, Elijah. I don't know about this man, Elijah. Goose. Goose doesn't have allies left in the game because the directors turned on him, the girl turned on him. You know, for the most part, they were done with him. They was about to throw him away or whatever here last week. Shoot, and this week. He was in the DR today on the episode talking about Avery. He's like, dang, like I know I messed up, but like, excuse me, are we really that against each other? Like, what's the deal? So I do think there's a possibility wherever Todd votes that he would vote, and Todd is on Spicy side. So right now, Spicy side would have the leg up. But Arissa did post something today. Let me see. Eric has sent it to me. What was it? Arissa posted something that says the game is switching into a whole new gear. What would you tell your faves if they could hear you? And then she posted a sign that says, shh, the house guests can hear you. Some people are speculating that this is possibly what do you call it? They're gonna cancel the eviction possibly. Which they have done in a season or two before. I can't remember what season because my brain can't think right now. But they have done that before. And I was talking to Eric, and it's so funny to me because I was like, one thing Big Brother Canada is going to do, they are going to take a HOH. They took Goose's HOH and they about to snatch up Avery's too, possibly. But if that does happen, it's gonna be this next HOH is going to be a very good one, and I'm excited to watch it because going into next week, alliances are gonna be like the lines, they're blurred now. They're all mixed up. There's not set alliances. Well, I say there are set alliances, but it's gonna come down to like who are you most loyal to? Like, is Spicy and Dougie gonna have a conversation and get back on track? Is Hot Chocolate gonna end up getting in a room together and hashing things out, saying, okay, now that Matt's gone, we really gotta stick together. Like we had this plan coming in and we set this up, but we should still stick by it. And then, we should play the game from there. So it really just kind of depends on this next HOH. Because honestly, depending on who's in power, it could change a lot. If Avery's in power, Spicy's gonna come and grovel. She's gonna snitch. She's gonna say, well, so-and-so tried to put you up. Da, 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 da. But let's say if Bailey's HOH, Dougie's possibly in trouble, which I forgot to note is really I think important kinda. When Tola asked, can they trust Spicy? He says we can trust Bailey more than Spicy. And I don't know if y'all remember, I talked about this like maybe 2-3 weeks ago when Bailey and Byyyeee and Dougie got into that little altercation. I was like, it's so funny that they argue back and forth, and then they always find like a middle ground to like get back to. And I think Dougie has at least a sense of respect for Byyyeee because at least she's honest with him, And Spicy's over here getting caught in lies, so I don't know. That may or may not work in his favor. Going forward, do I think Dougie's gonna put up Byyyeee soon? I don't think so. But I think Byyyeee might possibly put up Anthony, but it depends. I don't know. This is such a crazy week that's coming up. It's gonna be exciting because, of course, I hate predictable Big Brother. And it's somewhat predictable until next week, but it's also a little messy. And I do think alliances are gonna turn on each other, so that'll be interesting to see. But thank you guys for listening. Follow us on Who All There. Like I always say, I'm gonna try to keep you guys updated as much as I possibly can. We do have a double, triple, whatever they're gonna do coming up soon, so I cannot wait to get to that point. But until then, I will see you guys later. Bye.